Hello children, welcome to science class. Today we are going to study chapter number 15, Air Around Us. In this chapter, you will know about different uses of air, its importance and its components. So let's begin the chapter. As we all know that we cannot see air, but we can feel it, and we can feel it in many ways, like when the leaves flutter, or when we keep a copy in air, the pages also flutter, or while the cloths swing. तो इस तरह से हम एयर को डिफरेंट वे में फील कर सकते हैं, लेकिन हम उसे देख नहीं सकते. फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल, अगर हम एक फिरकी को हवा में लेकर के जाएं, देन इट ऑल्सो मूव्स इन द डायरेक्शन ऑफ विंड. इसी तरह से एक वेदर कॉक, इट stops in the direction of wind. So we can say that we can feel the air, but we cannot see the air. Air is present everywhere. Air सभी जगह present होती है. Even if we say an empty room is not an empty, it is filled with air. Or any vessel that we see empty is exactly not empty, but it is filled with air. Let us know and observe whether it is filled with air or not. Activity 2. We shall take an empty bottle. दो empty bottle लें, एक empty bottle लें और उसे हम एक कंटेनर में जिसमें पानी फिल है उसमें उसको इन्वर्टेड करके रखें. तो हम क्या ऑब्जर्व करते हैं? वी ऑब्जर्व दैट ड्रॉप्स ऑफ वाटर making we see that some bubbles are coming out. What are these bubbles? ये bubbles क्या होती हैं? ये bubbles actually एयर की वजह से होती हैं. एम्प्टी बॉटल जिसमें एयर फिल्ड है, हम उसे देख नहीं सकते, लेकिन जैसे ही हम उसको इन्वर्टेड करते हैं तो वो एयर बाहर आने की कोशिश करती है एंड उसके प्लेस पर वाटर ऊपर की तरफ एग्जर्ट होता है, प्रेशर डालता है, जिसकी वजह से वो जब एयर बाहर आती है तो बबल्स के फॉर्म में हमें वो दिखाई देती है. सो वी कैन से दैट इन एम्प्टी स्पेस द एयर इज फिल्ड. सो इफ वी गो हायर एल्टीट्यूड्स, वहाँ पर हमें ब्रीदिंग में प्रॉब्लम होती है. ऐसा क्यों? क्योंकि जैसे जैसे हम हाइट पर जाते हैं तो ऑक्सीजन लेवल कम हो जाता है, जिसकी वजह से रेस्पिरेशन में प्रॉब्लम होती है. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट द माउंटेनियर्स टेक एयर सिलेंडर और ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर with them so that they can breathe easily. What is present in the air, or what is air made up of? Air has many components like water vapor and some other gases also. Water vapor, as we know, it is present in the air due to the evaporation of water. जो वाटर के डिफरेंट सोर्सेस हैं लाइक सी, रिवर, पॉन्ड, लेक, इन सभी से वाटर का इवेपोरेशन होता है एंड इट इज़ अकोमुलेटेड इन द एटमॉस्फेयर. ये वाटर वेपर वाटर साइकिल में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करता है एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट वी गेट रेन and the water bodies are filled with air. Not even some ponds, lakes, rivers or ocean seas, even the soil, it is filled with groundwater because of this water cycle only, as we have studied in the chapter 14. What else is present in the air? Oxygen. In the presence, its presence we can feel with an activity. What we have to do in this activity? We shall take 2 candles. These 2 candles are burnt and kept on the table. When we burn this candle, one candle is covered with a glass, as you can see here. The glass covers the candle. But after some time, this candle is blown off. Why? Because there was oxygen present, limited oxygen present inside the air, inside the glass. But when it was used up completely, the candle blown off. So it can be said that oxygen is needed for burning. With the, without oxygen, or in the absence of oxygen, we cannot burn anything. Another important substance that is present in the air is nitrogen. Though the nitrogen is not helpful in burning, but it is an important nutrient for plants also. Even human beings or other animals, they need nitrogen for the protein synthesis or for the protein which is very essential for the development of body. But we cannot take directly nitrogen from the air. We take it through our food which we obtain from plants. And so plants, while making their food, they get nitrogen. The plants absorb this nitrogen through the soil, and with the help of it, the proteins are made. And when we get food from the plants, we get nitrogen. Another important gas that is present in the air is carbon dioxide. Though the carbon dioxide is not good for health, it suffocates. Suppose we are in a closed room and there are some burning materials. So, what do we feel? We feel suffocation because of the presence of carbon dioxide gas. And this carbon dioxide gas make up a small component of the air around us. Plants and animals consume this carbon dioxide. For the plants and animals give out give out carbon dioxide in the process of respiration. But at the same time, this carbon dioxide is used up by the plants in the process of photosynthesis. So carbon dioxide very important for the survival of life, because in the absence of carbon dioxide there will be no photosynthesis, and if there is no photosynthesis, then there will be no supply of oxygen in the air. So equally important. But if the carbon dioxide increases in the air, then the level of pollution also increases in our surrounding. So only a less amount of carbon dioxide is sufficient for photosynthesis. But if it increases by burning leaves or discarded remains of crops, then it pollutes our surrounding. Dust and smoke. This dust and smoke is due to the burning of fuel, and smoke contains a few gases, fine dust particles, and is often harmful. That is why long chimneys in the factories are made, so that they may be away from human beings, other animals, and plants. But at the same time, when they go up in the air, they are closer to the birds, and they are harmful for the life of birds. So it should be remembered that these dust and smoke should be they should be reduced. We can understand the presence of this dust and smoke in the activity 4. If we see a closed room, sunny room in a school or home, we can close all the doors and windows, curtains, pull down to make it dark. So what we see, if there is a hole like this door, we will see that while the sunlight is coming, the dust particles are seen in a very dancing way in the direction of light. So it proves the presence of dust particles in the air. In the same way, the vehicles, they give out smoke, and in smoke there is harmful gas which pollute our air. So it should be noticed that to reduce this pollution in the air, we should avoid these vehicles, or we should reduce the smoke or harmful gases and try to keep our air clean. So now we can conclude here, there are so many substances in the air. So air is not a single substance, it is made up of different gases like oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, other inactive gases, and dust particles, water vapor, etc. But which is the which gas has the uh, biggest share or biggest percentage? That is nitrogen. Nitrogen is about 78% in the air, and oxygen is about 20% or 20 to 20.9%, and the rest of the gases are carbon dioxide, water vapor, and other inactive gases. But how does oxygen become available to animals and plants that live in water and soil? किस तरह से अदर एनिमल्स या प्लांट्स को ऑक्सीजन मिलती है जो सॉइल में रहते हैं या प्लांट्स में रहते हैं? We can understand the presence of air or oxygen in water and soil through the activities. If we boil water, जब पानी बॉयल होता है तो हम उसमें कुछ बबल्स देखते हैं. What are these bubbles? These bubbles are the presence of oxygen. Oxygen that is dissolved in the water. So, the dissolved oxygen is available to the animals and plants that live in water. In the same way, if we take a lump of dry soil in a beaker or a glass and add some water to it, what do we observe? We see that bubbles come out from the soil, and these bubbles prove that the air is filled with the air is present in the soil also. What happens, or why does it happen? When we pour water in the lump of soil, this water displaces the air, and the air comes out in the form of bubbles. So the organisms that live inside the soil and the plant roots respire in this air. A lot of a lot of burrows and holes are formed in deep soil by the animals living in the soil. ये burrows spaces available कराते हैं animals के लिए so that they can take air easily. But in the rainy season, जब बारिश होती है तो यही स्पेसेस वाटर से फिल्ड हो जाते हैं and they cannot have proper amount of air for breathing. So the animals that live in the soil in burrows, they come out for respiration. And that's why we see a large number of earthworms where in the rainy season they come out during the heavy rainfalls, because the soil or the burrows or their holes are filled with water. So the air is blocked and cannot be available to these animals for respiration. So now we can understand now that air is available for everybody or any plant or animal that lives in water or in the soil. Or we can say that air is present everywhere. But how is the oxygen in the atmosphere replaced? किस तरह से ऑक्सीजन रिप्लेस होती रहती है एटमॉस्फेयर में, या हम ये कहें कि बैलेंस बना रहता है? In chapter 7, we have already learned about the photosynthesis. What happens in this process? In this process, plants make their own food, and while this process goes on, oxygen is released and it comes in the air. Plants also consume oxygen for their respiration, लेकिन जो अमाउंट है ऑक्सीजन को रेस्पायर करने की, that is less than. So the amount of oxygen is maintained in the nature or in the air through the process. It is obvious that animals cannot live without plants, and the balance of oxygen is maintained, and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is maintained through respiration in the plants and animals. Because एनिमल जब रेस्पिरेशन करते हैं तो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड वो रिलीज करते हैं, एंड यही कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड जब प्लांट्स अपने फोटोसिंथेसिस के थ्रू यूज करती है तो इट इज बैलेंस्ड. सो इट इज नाउ अंडरस्टूड दैट the oxygen is replaced by carbon dioxide and carbon dioxide is replaced by oxygen, and this cycle goes on in the nature. But what else the air is used in? We all have seen windmill. This windmill is moved with the help of air and it is used in many ways. This windmill is used to take out water from the tube wells. ट्यूबवेल में से पानी निकालने के लिए, या फिर आटा चक्की जैसे हम फ्लोर मिल्स कहते हैं उनको चलाने के लिए भी विंडमिल्स का यूज़ किया जाता है. विंडमिल्स आर ऑल्सो यूज टू जनरेट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. So we can say that air helps in movements of sailing yachts, gliders, parachutes, aeroplanes, birds, bats, insects. All these fly due to the presence of air. Air also helps in the dispersal of seeds. Without air, seeds का dispersal नहीं होगा. Pollen grains एक प्लांट से दूसरे प्लांट तक नहीं जा पाएंगे, या हम कहें कि pollination नहीं हो पाएगा. So it also plays important role for the plants also in their generation. So that's all, children, in this chapter. I hope you all understood about the importance of air in life and for also the water cycle. Because of this water cycle, the water is present in different water bodies and available to everybody. That's all, children, in this chapter. Thank you.